Hi everyone, this is Danielle, and what you are about to listen to is a 20-minute snippet from a Patreon exclusive show I am currently doing, along with Games as Literature. There is no title to it, but basically the show is the two of us, going through NieR Replicant and soon NieR Automata, and talking about our feelings. He being a veteran player, he loves these games. I being a complete newbie to them, I know nothing about them, and just kind of going over our thoughts and analyzing the story and just having a very casual conversation. So again, this is a little preview segment of what you can expect if you support either or both of us on Patreon, if you're so inclined. To listen to these episodes on a weekly basis, you can head on over to patreon.com/levelstory and or patreon.com/gamesaslit101. This show is available on both of our Patreon pages. And again, it is exclusive to Patreon, so if you like what you hear, be sure to head on over there and support us. It would mean a lot. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoy this little segment. And yeah, talk to you all later.
Hello, patrons of Games as Lit 101 and Level Story. This is, the two people responsible for the Patreons that you're giving money to. I don't know if we need to introduce ourselves, but I'm the Game Professor.
and I'm Danielle.
And we're here
Level Story.
Yes, and we're here to talk about NieR Replicant, which just came out. It is a... Oh gosh, I didn't even think about how complicated this would be to explain. It is a remake of the game NieR, but specifically the Japanese version where the protagonist is a boy who's trying to protect his sister, rather than the American release of the original, which was called NieR Gestalt and starred an old man who is the father of the girl he's trying to protect. We got the Sun version this time. It's a remake. It's a whole thing. And I played the original a while. Well, actually, let's just talk about our experience with it. Danielle, what do you know about NieR?
Before playing, literally nothing. I mean, I've watched like some videos on it, but nothing stuck in my head. So yeah, literally nothing.
Cool. And I have played both games. I have not played the Drakengard games. I would like to try them at some point, but I've played both NieR games and loved them. Though also, I have to admit, I played the first NieR to the first ending, and I was under the impression that the content after that was basically just replaying the same game like 4 times and getting some extra, dialogue or something, and so I didn't do the rest. Apparently, it's way more... The extra content's more significant than that, and I didn't realize it at the time, so this will be my first time through that when I get to that point. But and then I also played Automata, and it became... honestly, I love both of these games a lot, but Automata is like in the running for my favorite. It's very high up there for me, so I was excited to go back to this one, and I'm excited to hear the thoughts of a first-timer, too.
Yeah, this is going to be a cool conversation, first timer and veteran player. So
yeah,
it's neat. And I will say, I've been looking forward to playing these games so much. So this is very exciting.
Yeah, there's been so much hype for them ever since. Like the first NieR had a reputation as like kind of a cult classic, but your average person either didn't know about it or hadn't played it and didn't get the impression it was that great. But ever since Automata came out, there's been a lot of hype behind this series. So I imagine you've had it hyped up for you pretty good for the last while.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right. Well, in that case, I guess let's just get started.
Yeah.
So we played at this point, obviously it's spoilers for the game. We're going through bit by bit. So if you haven't played it, I recommend that you do first. It's good. You should do it. But this first one we're going to be talking about from the beginning of the game up through where the player first meets Kaine. Yeah, I hadn't honestly thought about how to structure this all that much. So I guess, hey, how about that opening? How was that for you?
So, okay, that was interesting because, so I will say, even though I know nothing about these games, I did start to watch a playthrough of NieR Gestalt like a long time ago, and so the opening was like somewhat familiar to me, obviously, except with a father instead of a brother.
Yeah.
But the first thing I remember thinking, or just I thought playing this was, oh my god, I'm leveling up fast. like holy crap. But yeah, I don't even know where to begin, honestly, with my thoughts about the opening.
Yeah, it certainly could give the impression that, you know, you're leveling up quick and your level cap's going to be ridiculous or whatever. But of course, that is just the intro, and then you do a 1,000+ year time skip. So,
right. Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Well, okay, I have a question for you, actually.
Sure.
So when it asks you for your name, did you actually put your name, or did you write NieR?
I put my name because my thought was I knew that that there were voices originally and that they did more voices for this one. I'm pretty sure, at least. So I assumed that it would just be like the name of my save file. And then immediately, you know, it does a loading screen with one of those like little notes from Yona, and it's all like, "Oh, Samuel did this for me," and I'm like, "Crap, nope, restart."
Yes,
I do feel like this is one of those games that could probably, and I'm gonna keep an eye out for it this time for sure. But you know, there are some games that are pretty that gain sort of emotional resonance by directly speaking to you, the player, by your name. Like there's a reason everyone recommends that you name the character after yourself in Undertale. You know, there's no canonical name, and it's better if you just make it yourself. Right. I forget if you played that.
I haven't, but I've played the thing I thought it was One Shot.
Oh, yeah. Very similar games in many respects.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah. And yeah, I could definitely see NieR. NieR isn't nearly as meta as those, but I could see it benefiting from that. But, you know, the character has a canonical name. The game is literally named after him, and I don't like switching that up personally. So what about you?
Well, I don't like switching it up either, which is why when I saw that, I was like, I'm going to look this up real quick. And when I looked it up, I finally found people saying, yeah, this is going to be your character name. Like, I'm the same way. I like my character to be a character, not be associated with me. Unless it's for like purposes toward the game or something, but I don't, at least from my perspective, it didn't feel like that's what this game was doing. So I just named NieR. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not a thing like, I don't know. I know people who name Link after themselves, and honestly, that weirds me out. I had a friend in high school who played Twilight Princess and named Link after himself and Epona after his dog. And so instead of Link and Epona, you had Jonathan and Sadie saving Hyrule, and I was like, man, that's just weird. I don't know about that. But, you know, like, theoretically, the character of Link works with it, because, like, he's silent. His name could be whatever, and it wouldn't really change anything. Same for, or, you know, something like Mass Effect, where everyone just calls them by the last name, first name doesn't matter. Like, I don't know. Yeah. There are situations where I feel like it can work, but this is not really one of them, because NieR is NieR is his own character. You can make some choices, but, like, there's a lot of stuff going on here that you're not going to have a say in, even if you might wish you did. So, like, it seems like a weird one to do that in.
Yeah, I was going to say, in general, like, I didn't play much of Persona 5 yet, but when I did play that, I looked up the character's name as well when it asked me to name him, because I was like, I just like having the character's name there.
Yeah.
Typically, I don't want my own name in there. And again, obviously, that can change from game to game, but I'd rather see the character, so...
Yeah, that makes sense, and it's a good choice for this one in particular. Kat, if you step on my laptop, I am going to set you somewhere else, because I would never hurt you. I love you, but still, don't do it, please.
That took a turn.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I had more colorful threats lined up, but then I was like, no, I wouldn't do that. And if I did, I shouldn't. Nope, that's the microphone, you idiot. And if I did, I shouldn't record myself saying it, so...
Right. That's funny. Ugh. So one other thing I want to comment on is I started to somewhat watch a Let's Play of the original side by side while I was playing this.
Interesting.
Before I realized that the Let's Player had already played Automata.
Oh, no!
Yeah, and they didn't say anything, like, spoilery necessarily,
Okay,
but
good.
they kind of said something where I was like, you know what? I thought I might be safe. I wasn't sure what they were going to do, but I'm not, and I'm just going to stop watching at this point.
Yeah.
However, the dates are somewhat different between the games, and I don't know if that's because of oh, your laughter makes me wonder if that's...
Oh, I guess actually a lot of this is probably going to be you being like, what's up with that? And me being like, yeah, you will see. But
Oh, no.
in this case, no. It's just that, as you might have been able to tell from the time skip, these games have large time scales. Automata is not very direct in its sequelage. It is a significant amount of time separated from this one. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, also I found it interesting that, I mean, I guess it depends on where you live in the world, but like my first thought when it said summer 2053 and it's snowing, I'm like, what is going on here? Why is there snow in summertime? But, you know, again, well, yeah, I don't know where I'm going for by saying that, but, you know, it's just an observation.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you will understand eventually. I mean, we do know from sort of the situation in the game proper and how far it is in the future and such, that this is one of those like post-apocalypse settings where like, you know, it's our world and it ended, but it ended like 1,000 years ago when there's a whole new like, you know, civilization now and stuff. So it, you know, yeah, stuff went wrong, and we'll find out more about it.
Yeah.
The name of the music that plays in the opening is actually just called Snow in Summer, and I have to...
Oh.
I'm going to be geeking out about the music entirely too much in this whole thing, but I love that track a lot.
Look, the music is really good.
Yeah,
like,
it's...
Oh my gosh.
It's gorgeous, and it's very unique. I feel like I cannot really name any other soundtracks that sound like this, aside from Automata, of course. Like, there's a... Not just the reliance on vocals, but the specific way it uses vocals. Like, pretty much the whole game has this sort of ethereal and sad sound to it. This one that's more Automata. I feel like this one has a few more like upbeat tracks, but even then it's, I don't know, there's a very, very specific atmosphere that it builds, and I love it.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of as somebody who grew up Catholic, it reminds me a lot of just like church choirs and just a lot of the environments gave off this sort of well, like you said, ethereal or spiritual feeling. So I wonder what that will mean going forward, but yeah, very good. And I also thought, like, I don't know what each track is called, but the track that plays, I think it's in the Northern Hills, I think it's called, or Northern Plains. Yeah, it's just like a nice kind of sort of like country's the wrong word, but like just a nice a nice little tune. I really liked it.
It sounds fairly like sort of classical overworld adventure theme for a game like this, in a way that still does sound uniquely, you know, NieR. And it's very good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say I hadn't thought about how to like structure all this or whatever, but you've been keeping notes and it's your first time playing, so how about you just mention stuff and we'll talk about it. You can go through there, talk about whatever you find interesting.
Well, so I want to comment real quick, like, because I know one thing I've heard a lot about this game is that a lot of people are not huge fans of the combat. Or they're very critical of it.
Yeah, they did overhaul it significantly for this.
Okay, did they? All right. Because I thought it was fine, but maybe that's because of the overhaul. Like, I think it plays great, honestly.
Yeah, pretty much. I will say that personally, I thought I would definitely agree that the combat in this remake is fine. It's been long enough since I played Gestalt that I don't... You know, the minutia of the gameplay systems don't stick in my head super well. I mostly just remember Gestalt as sort of a generic hack and slash system with some kind of neat but sort of janky magical elements. And honestly, that sort of feels like what this is too. A little less janky. They polished it out, but like I know that there are differences in the systems and how they work, but I thought that the original game was fine. Not, nothing great, but it was fine. I never hated the combat. It just never stood out, really. And honestly, I feel kind of the same way about this one. It's fine.
Yeah. I probably would agree with that. Like, it's not something that I find I love, but I picked up on it and like I'm enjoying it. So
yeah,
we'll see how far. Yeah.
The main thing that sort of separates it from other similar, because the sort of basic like equip a weapon, square is your normal attack, triangle's your heavy attack kind of system. Like it's pretty much just that, aside from the Grimoire Vice. Like you have this, this book floating around that it really expects you to make use of the just little like, rapid fire magic blasty thing in a lot of situations. And then you have some other spells and stuff too. And that's really the thing that separates it. And it's one of those mechanics that I feel like is fine. It's just not very polished. It's just that it works okay, and the game is designed around it well enough that it makes good use of it. Like, I don't know, it's fine. The gameplay of this and the original has always reminded me mostly of... It's one of those games that was made on the like Xbox 360 and PS3, but feels like a PS2 game in a lot of ways.
You're not the first person I've heard say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, it's that, but it's also very... Well, I guess this is something that we'll get to as we go, but it feels like unafraid to experiment in sort of different genres of gameplay as it goes, which is another thing that was more common in the PS2 era than it is now, but in sort of weird ways. I guess I don't want to get too far into it because you haven't experienced most of it yet, but like the way that it does perspective shifts when you go into like rooms or houses or whatever, goes into second person.
Yes.
Stuff like that is pretty common, where it like uses visual shifts to... in effect sort of change the genre for a little bit, and it's I don't know, it feels old school in its design in a lot of ways that can sometimes make it feel kind of like lackluster or janky, but also make it feel pretty unique, I think. And I don't know, you'll see more of it as it goes.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I guess so, because I think you're right. Like, it does make it feel more unique. I genuinely loved the perspective changes. Like, when I first saw that, I was like, oh, so this is what we're doing right now. Like, that's kind of cool. I've never played a game that shifts perspectives in that way.
Sorry,
I very much appreciate it.
Meowing.
I thought, oh my god.
I imagine it's probably coming over the microphone, but people are always fine with hearing cats, so I'll just leave that.
Look, cats are great. I thought that was a bird outside my window. So,
no,
wow.
Nutmeg is just really chatty, but she's hanging out down by my legs instead of jumping all over my laptop, so I'll call it an improvement.
Look, she just wants to talk about NieR. That's it. Oh,
she's like,
she is again.
This.
She has a lot to say. She's the podcat. Oh my god, I can't believe I just said that.
I cannot believe we're canceling this. Never mind, forget this.
Yeah. Like, midway through it, I was gonna say the cat of the podcast, and then I just said it, and I'm like, oh wow.
Oh yeah, no, you got to do honestly, if you didn't, I would have, and would have been just as ashamed. So
yeah. It only makes sense. I love the perspective changes, but yeah,
it's fun. What do you think of the village in that whole situation?
I like it. I think obviously like, I'll have to play more of it because I like it, but actually I really don't have like that strong of opinions on it.
Yeah.
But like I enjoyed doing like all the side quests, which I did do. I think I did all of them.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that, because if you are intending to do all of them, you will spend a lot of time doing that.
Look, I did this with like what's it called? Final Fantasy VII Remake, where that was a game where I was like, I want to play this game to the fullest, and so I did every side quest. Even went back to this cat just really wants to join the podcast.
Yeah, seriously, Nutmeg, what are you doing? I think I've been like working outside most of the day, so I think she's a little attention starved. Yeah, hi.
Aww. See, my cat got this out of the way like maybe 30 minutes before we started recording, so honestly, Like, maybe it's a good thing that just one cat's doing it and not both of them. Because, oh my god, it's so cute.
Been a whole thing. Nutmeg.
Yeah.
I appreciate you adding value to the podcast, and I'll just try not to be too distracting, okay?
Yeah.
Or not podcast so much, a discussion. Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
A recorded discussion for our esteemed patrons.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, the side quests, they were fun. I will say that at one point, first of all, the boar, I didn't realize it would take so long to kill him. I was having a hard time with him, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, you can, if a side quest has like a hard enemy to kill or something, you can wait until you level. There is, I will warn you without spoilers, there is a point, like a halfway point, where if you haven't done all the quests up to then, you won't be able to. But it's a ways off.
Okay.
You know, you have more characters to meet and stuff before that happens, so you can always feel free to put a side quest off for a little bit if you need to.